I don't know. I've been rushing. I worked on this enclosure way too long. Let me see if I can add another one. New. Is it still pixelated on your end?
I'm getting double audio now.
I don't know what's going on. Hello, everybody. Hey, is Steve saying I got uh double audio? Is anybody else hearing it? Say this fuzzy. I don't know what's going on. Oh,
Hold on, I think it's on my end. Let me just do something. There we go. Yeah, you're still kind of pixelated though, I think. So, but hey, everyone.
it doesn't look it on. Okay, does it? They're saying it is. I don't know what to do. Let me go check my other settings over here. I kind of thrown everything together because I was working till the last minute. Sony camera.
Oh, I've had one of those weeks too. So,
Yeah. Let me look and see what it's got. Okay, set at 720 with the broadcast camera. Yeah, I mean it. Not showing in focus on my end. let
yeah,
me let me see if I let me see if me add it. Let me see if it'll let me add another camera. It may not. Or better yet, let me just give me just a second. Let me kill
all
this.
right. You do what you need to do. So, the joys of live streaming and technology. So, yes, my name is messed up, isn't it? Let's see if I can fix that. Edit name. There we go. Yeah, we didn't want them confusing me for you. Now it's perfect because we can't hear you at all.
How about that?
No.
Huh?
Now you're sharp and, well, sharpish, and we can hear you.
Well, I don't know what the heck's up with this thing. Like I said, I about waited too late. I was sitting in here working, and I looked down at my watch, and I was like, "Oh crap! I got to set me an alarm." Let me see something here. Let me go on and get it keyed up if it'll let me. Software's being. All right, check it out.
There we go. Except for they should see more of it. We gotta. Nope. What'd you do? There. Now we can see it. I don't know that we can hear you, though. I imagine if we had audio, he would be talking about how he has his sit-stand lifting desk.
How about that? Does my audio come
There we
back when I
go.
turn my? Yeah, yeah. Check it out. If y'all want, if I wanted to engrave the top of this can right there, guys, I can lower that baby down, and I can now take and hang on, work with me here. Oh, I got the laser turned off. Stand by. But yeah, let it home. It's got a home and everything. But yeah, I have been working diligently today. I got to get the lid done. I don't have a lid yet, but been working my rear end off today to get this little bit done. My shop is a mess, so don't ask to look at anything else in the shop. But yeah, see, so if I want to do the old bucket right there, Send the machine over there to where it's at. So I can raise this guy up. Set my focus, and voila. I am ready to engrave a bucket. So about put it down too low. But yeah, got it working. Been playing around with it a little bit here at the end. But yeah, there you go. So let me get back over here where I can read some comments. There we are. Oh guys, what am I using for a lift here? Well, I showed it to y'all, but let me show you. This is where the magic really happens on this enclosure, and I haven't got my latches and everything installed yet. Check it out, guys. Voila! The whole bottom opens. So I've got the lift down in the bottom right there. If I lower it down, let me get the camera where you can see. There's my lift. So if I lower it all the way to the bottom, I can lower it down to there. And let's say I have something that is really, really big that I want to engrave, such as a stove cover, for instance. Well, I can come in through here with anything up to 48 inches. I can come in through here, place it in my work area, and then I can close the door and raise it up to where it needs to be to work with. So, yeah, I'm digging it. I'm digging it. So there you go. That's as far as I've made it.
In
But anyway.
the video where you talked about that lift is the one where you're talking about firing your D1, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
people want to go check that out before it's in the enclosure. You did a whole video talking about the lift before it goes in the enclosure and such.
Oh yeah. So like I said, but I've got it. I got a piano hinge on there so that I can shut that. I got to put latches and everything on it. But yeah, that's where I'm at so far. That's where it's at so far. Here we go. Construction plans. Yeah, specking it out. I was trying to spec it out before I built it, but things changed along the way. But
so now, are you going to add a camera in there?
Yes, I kept the fisheye camera that was in my other enclosure that my buddy took with him today. So I've got the fisheye. I'm gonna try it, and if that doesn't work, I guess I'm gonna throw darts at it till I figure out which camera will work. But
That'll be interesting.
anyway, there it is. There it is, guys. In case y'all wanted to see it, there it is. All of my work, my dreams, and my ambitions, right there. One project. But let me turn my camera around this way. There you go. There it is. But it basically took the place of my other enclosure that I had. And I will tell you, that's about $300 worth of freaking plywood, though.
I believe it.
As is double-sided birch cabinet grade. So, but yeah, it works. I was a little worried, and the cool part is I can actually take the honeycomb out. Those magnets that they send us every time they send one of those honeycombs, I used some double-sided adhesive and mounted them to the piece of metal that's underneath there. Hang on, I'll show you. But underneath the, let me get it up where you can see. Oh, I gotta buy a better tripod for this one, guy. All right, so underneath my workpiece, of course, is the honeycomb. And the honeycomb is set in there with magnets, and I have to let it down to get it out. But it's got magnets on top of the on top of the metal, and the metal is attached to the lift. So I've got the little metal just to keep lasers from getting down below it. And these metal or these magnets are stuck on there with some adhesive, and then I got some screws holding the metal to the platform. So putting the honeycomb in and out is just more or less, you have to get it up here and lay it in place. If you raise the lift up, it makes it a little easier to get it lined up because the plywood on either side, I left about a 4 or 5 millimeter gap between the wood and the honeycomb right here. So that kind of acts as a guide. And then once you get it back in there, you can go up and down with it at will. But I figured out the neat little thing about the Acer Air Assist is it's got the way the feet are shaped, it's kind of like a Picatinny rail. And so this is just a Picatinny rail basically that the Air Assist slides on right there. And you can slide it off or slide it on. It keeps it up out of my way. So I thought it was neat. Thought it was a good idea. But yeah, there'll be a video. I was going to share it with you guys. You guys are the first ones to get to see how it works. So yeah, it only took, I think it was 3 sheets of the 3/4 inch cabinet grade. And then I had to re-up on Luan, and it was almost $400. So. But anyway, how is everybody tonight? I'm trying to go through the comments, Steve, if you want to put us back on split screen or whatever, or I can, I guess.
No, everybody likes seeing you.
No, I don't know about that. Whew. My wife had to bring me some tea because I was running behind, and I told her, I was like, hey, I got to get ready. Can you please bring me some tea? So I get out here and get to work. I don't know if anybody else has this problem, but I get out here and get to work, and I just like lose track of time. And it just, next thing you know, it's like midnight. All right, what we got? Did my video resolution pick back up? I'm seeing all these comments about my video resolution.
You're good there. That sorted itself out. So,
Roger. I'm just trying to scroll back through the comments. Steve has a moniker of Clack. Oh yeah, you were calling yourself Clack a while ago. He was trying to be a closer.
When I sign in under your team thing, it gives me your name. I got to remember to change it each time. But
Sharpest tool in the Clack Shack. Yeah, I'm guessing they're talking about my enclosure. It is pretty cool. Well, Robert, I was wanting to pull air from the bottom, but as you can see, I opted to come in through the wall. Now, I'm not going to say that there isn't going to be an intake that goes over into that corner down and then pulls from the bottom. But I didn't have time to engineer and work all that out today. I just wanted to get where I could use it because with that machine down and my computer station was tore all to pieces, my lasers, both of them, were down completely. I did get all my stove covers caught up so that I had no orders pending in case things went bad. But now with it like this, I could do a stove cover if I needed to, even without the top for it yet. But I plan on this week maybe get the top done. But I've got to order the glass, and it's 48 inches inside length. So I'm trying to decide if I want to put 2 windows in it or just one 12 by 24. Structurally speaking, I think the 12 by 24 in the center would be best.
You could do that. What I did on one of my CNC machines was split it. So same size material, but just spaced apart. So you got a kind of a stanchion in the middle, but you can still then see the ends and everything pretty well.
Yeah, well, I've actually thought about putting me a little window over here where I sit, because I sit right there to the left of it. So I thought about putting me a little window on the end, but we'll see. Like I said, just got to get time to get the rest of it done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the only problem with two 12 by 24s is The entire front's only 48 inches. So I guess I could leave some material behind there, frame it out, whatever. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it works out. But it's functional. It's operational right now. I can do stove covers in it. I can do whatever I need to do. So I'm sure there'll be some tweaks because I'll find some things that I don't like. I've got to go in there and do some cable management in the bottom of it. It looks like somebody run over R2D2 or something in the bottom with all them cables. And I've got a power strip in there that cuts everything on and off. I do have it all run through my battery backup that sits over here beside my workstation. So it's going to take, and then my DeWalt wall is all messed up. So I got to get all my tools put up because it looks like it looks like a bomb went off over here. So what's been up with you, Steve? Obviously, you can see what I've been up to.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of things interrupt me this week. But so the way I like to do my reviews is I do my normal testing of materials and such, but then I try to work in some real world project, and I'll actually post that first while I'm continuing to do some testing on the device. That way I get a good feel for it, because sometimes I'll run a test grid on some material. I like to run it a few times, and I like to test it on projects just to make sure, because sometimes you just get a sweet spot of wood or you get a bad spot of wood, and you find out that either you were you got lucky and it was too hot for your average, or you hit a spot that was too low. So while trying to do that, I've run into a few snags, but I did work on, let's see if I can shift this. I'll show. So this is a sneak preview of the project I'm working on. And I'm wondering if anybody can guess what this is.
Is it got ears?
This
Looks like it's got
has
ears.
So it's got these spirals on the side and this up front.
Looks like a hole gauge. Looks like a hole gauge. I'm guessing that's in millimeters. A yarn bowl. Okay, I don't even know what a yarn bowl is, so I couldn't.
That is exactly it. So my wife likes to knit, and she was talking, and she had seen a couple of these around and said, hey, that would be really cool to have. So you take your skeins of yarn, you roll them into a ball, and then you can feed it out through here, and it's supposed to keep it from tangling. But then up front here, this is a needle gauge guide. So you can quickly test the gauge of your knitting needles based on these holes. And so I went in and found that grid, various size, cut them to, there's slight variations maybe due to kerf, but with these diode lasers, that's so fine. I had her test it on some of her needles, and it's actually fairly accurate. So then you can, by just quickly poking it through the right holes, once it's a smooth friction fit, you've got the right needle. So this is just a prototype in some cheap 1/4-inch material. I'm probably going to actually cut this out of some, cherry that I'll mill down to 1/4-inch, and we'll have that ready to go. So that'll hopefully be a project video in a day or two, I hope, and then I'll be able to wrap up my the Aether review as a stock form. And then back over here, this little red guy showed up as well. And so I finally have a 20-watt Pro X tool instead of just the original 10 upgraded. So I'll be able to do some messing around with that as well. And then, I've got a number of other things. I was working on some kind of I have a lot of people ask me questions about things, and so I try to do quick videos to explain it, not just once, but anybody else that asked me. So I was working on some of those, but then also I talked about, what was it, 2 weeks ago, last week? I talked about those lenses that my friend Mike has been selling. Well, he's technically retired, and he's also in the process of moving to a different house and such. And he said, you know what, this has turned into a bit of bit of extra work that I wasn't planning on. And so
So he got more work than he wanted.
well, to a degree, yeah. It was more of like, I'd like to go back to being retired. Plus, he's got this move coming up, so he isn't going to be able to deal with it for a while. So we worked out an agreement that I'm going to take over the processing of those. That I've got them already listed in my Etsy store, and then I'm going to make sure I can get something on my regular website as well. So, um,
Cool.
so that was a bit of a disruption too, to kind of get all the gear set up, get his process for making them and packaging them and such. So I guess I'm a glutton for punishment, but I'll be managing those as well. The cool thing is that they work on any module that has like that 14 to 16 inch millimeter um, brass sleeve on the end of it. So like your X tools, the larger atom stacks, even the eightsers, they all have kind of that cover lens on them, which is nice because it protects the actual focus lens, but it is kind of a consumable that if you don't keep it clean, it will get cloudy and or even break. So it's nice on these that it's an easy fix where it's not something that's really glued in or buried in uh, your diode module.
Yeah.
So that was another thing, and yeah, also looking forward to our pending snowstorm this week. It's been warm, it's been melting, and now they're saying we could get 12 plus inches of snow.
Yeah. Me and Jack have the same question. You had a 50 millimeter hole on that thing. Is there a yarn needle
Well,
that is
that's not
50 millimeters?
so. So these are just the needle size. So it says
That looks really
50.
large.
It says 50, but it's something like 35 millimeter.
That's
It's
still a
just
really big. That's still a really big needle.
yeah.
Maybe I'm just
No,
I'm
it's
just I
25
just don't.
millimeter. It's a big needle, and I'm not a knitter.
Good God.
I don't know what it's used for, but and that's not the biggest size that was listed on the chart. But I was like, that is getting ridiculous.
Okay,
So
when I think of needles, I mean I'm thinking like small piece of metal. That just looks like almost a baseball bat.
yeah, the,
So
the
okay,
average ones are probably closer to about 2 to 3 millimeters, or around 1/8 inch, give or take. But yeah,
okay. Woo, broomsticks. Okay, I gotta go watch some knitting videos or something because that's excessive. My mother-in-law knits, but I've never like sat and watched her do it. She always uses a little, like I said, it looks almost like a chopstick.
it's one of those things that people can do almost anywhere. I've gone to, so we've talked in the past. I'm in IT, and occasionally when I've gone to conferences in the past, they'll have like the big. A lot of times they'll have like keynotes over meals. So everybody will kind of sit there and they'll eat, and then they fire up the keynote speaker, and then I look around and there's people just sitting there knitting while listening to the speaker and such. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we had a conference last week and had a speaker out of South Carolina that was really good. Oh, it was pretty neat. But we had to go down to Montgomery for the week. But fortunately for me, Montgomery's only like 45 minutes away from you. So, Clack, did you do your MAT? MAT? Market? Yeah. Okay. Market yet. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Michael. Keyboard's getting the better of you. It does me that way sometimes too. Uh,
So Brian, yes, the Acer has the same brass end to their module. It's got the screw-on kind of sleeve to it that holds the cover lens. I know the Atom Stack A20 is the same way. Even the couple of the kind of the no names, the Wayne Lux and the what was the other one? A couple of the lasers I just reviewed, they also have it. It's a fairly common part that they use for that cover. So an easy way to check is if you have that brass sleeve on the end, half of it will unscrew. It'll be about 16-inch outer diameter, or 16 millimeter outer diameter, excuse me, and about 14 millimeter, man, I am bad at that tonight, 14 millimeter inner diameter. And they're either held in with like there's a brass ring nut in there on the inside, or some of them are now just siliconing them in, so you can pop them loose with some acetone, and then I supply some O-rings in there that hold them tight as well. So
Apparently, my wife knew that they made those big needles. She's saying that those are used for the blankets. Oh, the one that I tried to bid on at the auction. Guys, did I tell y'all about that? I got cocky at an auction. My wife decided she wanted a blanket at the auction where they were auctioning off my candle holders. And so I was like, I'll get you a blanket. And the bid was like $75. So I went up there and I was like, okay. So I bid $100. Well, I waited until like literally 30 seconds before the auction was over with. Went back by there, and this guy that had already bid behind me, and he bid like 150, or no, 125. So I went back and I bid 135 or something like that, like with 10 seconds left to go, and somehow this guy like managed to get over there and bid 150, and I didn't see it in time, and so I didn't get the blanket for her, but. Yeah, so she told me she'd rather me just order a blanket online and get it cheaper anyway. So, but I did help drive the price of that blanket way up from where it was.
There you go.
So, but I put the link to the lift if anybody's asking. Somebody asked, where was it? There it was right there. But yeah, I've got a manual, and this is something I haven't. This is something I haven't showed you guys yet, but I gutted my Monport and I have put me a 8-inch scissor lift in it, and I did a little redneck engineering, and I have it to where I have a knob on the outside, or well, I don't have the knob yet, but I'm going to have a knob on the outside of the Monport, and when I turn the knob, the scissor jack goes up and down. I did so using a few parts I found on Amazon, but I haven't got all the bugs worked out of it. And then my extension came in, and the Monport got put in the back row. So I'll get back on that as soon as I get this fixed. What's up, Todd? There's one of my fellow LE guys down here and Steve. He has a CNC as well as a laser. He's kind of like you, one of those little crafty guys with a CNC. Well, Norbert, I was supposed to have been getting the 3D printer, and that's what I was kind of hoping for, but whoever it was that wanted me to try it out either changed their mind, forgot about me, or something. So what I wound up doing is I'm doing some research, trying to decide which 3D printer I want, and I do plan on getting one, but it's going to be a little while, because I just bought all the stuff to build this enclosure with.
You can make weird little stuff like this.
I was thinking more like knobs and brackets and mounting fixtures and stuff.
No one makes useful things with these. It's always just a little tchotchke.
Yeah, but right now I'm spending so much money getting this. I mean, I just spent $179 on the extension and then $170 for the electric lift because I wanted it to be cool. It is really cool. It is really cool to be able to let that up and down, because I do like ammo cans. People bring me ammo cans a lot, wanting those engraved, and then like pretty much anything up to about 12 inches now, I can lower the bed, put it in there, and engrave it. Boxes like these little jewelry boxes, the jars with the different kind of lids. I mean, it's just it opened up a whole bunch of stuff for me. I have all 3.2 which work at this point. 3D printers. Brandy, no loss at all.
Yeah, I've been enjoying your extension of the 8-Sir, and there's a good chance that I'll be extending mine, but I'll probably be waiting a couple more months till it's warmer and I can set it up out in the other shop. It's getting a little tight down in here, and I still have other things to work with in here yet before I maybe over the summer when I've got the outside shop more usable, I'll gut this down here and make it a little more flexible for things. But
yeah, well, I oversized.
Nice.
Yeah, I oversized this one. I don't know if you can see it. Let me switch over to the other camera. I want to show you one more thing, because I still got to figure out how to put my. Why won't it put that camera down here in the big one? There you go. All right, let me. All right, the one thing that I don't know if you can tell or not, but this thing is just sitting on a shelf basically. I built a shelf that has a hole in it big enough for the honeycomb to come up through it. And it goes, and the center of it's open. So this is not necessarily Acer specific. I can put other machines in it if I need to or if I want to. And another thing that I haven't got one cut right now to show you, but I can lower the bed down and still use my jig kit. But I've got to cut another one because I screwed this one to make a jig for my stove covers, and I was out of plywood, so I've got to cut another one. But if I lower it down and put the honeycomb even with the work surface here, I can actually use the my jig kit still with the honeycomb for cutting and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. But this is not set up specifically for an Acer, so technically I could put any long body in here. But I've kind of got my eye on the V35. Not gonna lie. That's that's gonna be my next I guess goal. I guess you could say. But yeah.
Yeah, it's always a balance between leaving yourself some interior wiggle room for space and not having it so large that it's cumbersome in your workspace. Um, but yeah, definitely, as we've seen with the 8s and others, you get one dimension that's a little bit longer. Same thing with the Ortur LaserMaster 3. It was a little longer than your typical diode in that size. Then it doesn't always necessarily fit into enclosures if you've made it, just big enough. So.
Well, that one has 48 inches inside dimensions by I think I set it for 30. I think it's 30 from front to back. So yeah, it's 27 and something to the edge of my little like shelf there. So it's like it's big enough I can still grow into it. So if I want to, I can put something bigger in there if I need to later on because I didn't want to spend all the money on this enclosure and then next year they come out with a machine that won't fit in it. Beaver Creek, I usually use the glass that you get from JTech Photonics. It's like, I think the 12 by 24 is like $31, I think. But I usually put that in there for safety because it's a little bit more money, but I do have people come visit with me while I'm out here working and sometimes I'm not paying attention to what they're doing. So just as a precaution, I do put glass in them that'll protect them. I've used just orange acrylic before, but I've got away from that because it still worries me when people come to visit and they walk over there and look in the window. So I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, but it's properly rated. I mean, it's kind of like the glasses. Spend a little bit more, get some stuff that's actually been tested and rated.
Yep. Yeah, it's like I said. So far, the Acer, I'm just gonna, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. So far, the Acer is my favorite machine. I still like my 20-watt D1, but I have found so many things that this Acer excels at, and it's just, I'm loving it. I'm hoping that maybe Steve could I don't know, mention that I need a V35 to somebody and somebody would send me one, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice. My only comment on it so far is it is loud compared to others.
It is loud, but I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I mean, I think in a workshop area, like you've got really not going to notice or care as much, but if you're trying to do this close to another living area, inside your house in another room, it makes some noise. It moving that air through that module that makes some noise. So
if it gets too loud, I'll just put these guys on.
yeah. ISO tunes, yes. So,
I'll be jamming. Which usually I've got my music up in here. The only real reason I bought these is one because I don't know if you guys are aware or not, but you can you can do stuff in your shop every day and don't have to worry about OSHA. But if you start doing YouTube videos, uh, you end up with the YouTube OSHA guys that want to point out to you, oh, you didn't have your safety glasses on, or man, you're going to go deaf running that skill saw or that chainsaw without hearing protection. So, I got these for two reasons: one, to get the YouTube OSHA folks off of me, and two, because I do like listening to my music and being able to hear my phone and stuff like that when I'm working. And I do have to wear them when I'm running the sawmill because you won't be able to hear yourself think at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
so I went ahead and bought them, and I like them so far.
I have an older set of those ISO tunes. They're really nice. I like that the Bluetooth links pretty well compared to I had their earbud ones with the little foam inserts. Um,
Yeah.
it worked okay, but their Bluetooth connectivity, I just struggled with that on mine. I'd have my phone in my back pocket and then the little receiver up by my, it just dangles off the cord. I'd still have it cut out. Um, the ISO tunes are nice. They're over the ear. The bad thing about that is if you wear glasses like myself or you got safety glasses on, you got them on too long, they start pressing in,
Yeah.
and your ears are gonna hurt. I used those
Well,
when I
I
do my
wore 'em.
CNC for hours, and after about hour 4 or so, I'm kind of like, okay, I need a break. So, um,
Yeah. You should get you one of those hard hats or those little visors. You know what I mean? Just a little visor.
well, I've got a nice set of prescription safety glasses, so then it wraps around the sides and that works well in the shop. Because it's sometimes it's side to breathe, but yeah, no, I like them. They're really good. They're well worth it, but that's my only caveat, and that's true of any over the ear hearing protection. Is they're going to try to cup around your ears, and they do push in on glasses. So
Yeah. Todd, as far as glass cups, I don't know what kind of glass you're talking about. I've done what I do. I did the wine glass with the Z1, I think. But I do mason jars. I do wine glasses. I do shot glasses. I do
I'll go grab one quick that
glassware.
I've done. I'll
So,
be right back.
oh, look at him. He's got the away window. Yeah, Brian. While he goes to look for that, Brian, you would think that would be the case if Acer, saw me using their machine in videos. You would think they would like, hey, would you like to upgrade or whatever? But I have bought everything X Tool in this shop. They have never X Tool's never sent me anything to try out. Now, Steve like bribed them or something and got him a 20-watt Pro, but I don't know how he pulled that off. Yeah,
So now
Minnesota.
this might not look like a glass, but I know down south there's many a beverage that comes in this style glass.
Hang on, hold up.
But that was one, and this is another. And one was done with tempera paint. The other was done with Brilliance marking spray. And honestly, can't tell the difference. What you can tell the difference in is the time it takes to put the Brilliance marking spray on versus tempera paint. It takes just a little bit longer airbrush dry time, but
Did you ever? Well, you said you got somebody's in there talking about some white lightning. I'm having to clean mine out. It's dusty here, guys. It's not clean like it is at Steve's place.
well, just have the maid come through there.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so that is. Woo, wait a minute. Stand by. That is Ceramark etched, and that side. It's hard to see. I need a black cloth. That is done with spray paint. So it's in there. It's etched. It needs cleaning. This hasn't been washed or cleaned with acetone or anything. But I plan on doing some with the CO2 as well. Just hadn't got around to it, but that's what it looks like. My little mason jar there. And I've got some other ones that I'm going to do. I've got some salt shakers over there. I've got this big glass brick I'm going to do. I've got all kind of projects in the queue that I hadn't got a chance to get to yet. So, But yeah, Todd, you can do it with a diode, but you've got to use some type of marking agent, or you've got to come up with a way of causing the laser to interact with the glass rather than just pass through it. It's not going to do it without without some kind of coating. Todd, both of us, I know I've got a couple videos that pretty much walks you through the process of how I do it. So just go on there and look for keyword glass, jar, shot glass, you know, just keyword search them. All right. Uh, pumpkin? Toot? Okay, we're just going to call her Pumpkin. Uh, Pumpkin, all I can tell you is I use pine wood, and you want to run air assist. I know everybody says don't run air assist when you're engraving, but when you're engraving and you want it to go deep in the material and not just stain the outside of it, I run air assist. When I get through engraving it, I hit it with a little bit of 120 grit sandpaper or 220 grit sandpaper, and it's back to normal. But I run, though I did those 7 the other day. I did all of them with the Acer. I did 7 stove covers. It took my burn time down from like 35 minutes to 20 minutes for each stove cover. And I run them on, I think it was 90 speed and 100% output, or maybe an 80. I may run them at 80 with full air assist, and it did a awesome job. And like I said, it only took 20 minutes. So,
And that's millimeters a second, not a minute.
yeah, yeah. No, if you you run that slow on millimeters per minute, you'll be cutting something.
Well, I mean, I mean, people coming from CO2 world are used to millimeters a second, and originally the LaserBox software and I think XCS default to millimeters a second, but a lot of other manufacturers of diodes default to millimeters a minute, and that's one thing that I like to make sure people clarify when they're talking about their speeds, because yeah, if someone thinks you're talking about millimeters a minute and you do it at 90, that power, well, they're gonna have something like my cut test from last week where it's all burnt out.
Yeah, gonna be needing the spritz bottle,
Yep.
but do well on. Okay, yes and no on this question. Uh, yes, it does good on tumblers, but you got to know what you're doing when it comes to Yetis. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, Yetis. I don't know what the chemical makeup of their powder coating is, but if you use Academy brand, Walmart brand, or Hassel Outfitters off of Amazon, it's a lot easier than Yeti. Yeti, you got to get that perfect power to be able to get all of the coating off without going so hot as to make the silver turn gray. There's a balance. So if you're going to do Yeti brand, just know that they're a little tougher than the cheaper tumblers are to do. Would you agree, Steve, from your experience?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't do them myself because, as you said, there are plenty of other options online or even locally for less expensive tumblers, and just yeah, it is a harder coating on there, and then it's a fine line between burning that off and etching the stainless underneath it. So then the other issue is with any of these, the color of the tumbler also makes a difference. So it helps to kind of stick to a brand, do some tests on the various colors, get your specs dialed in, and if anyone else wants you to do Yetis, I would tell them you're gonna need to give me a spare to get it dialed in. So.
Let's see. Cardboard cut with plywood. Try doing a cardboard cut with plywood. Yeah, cardboard cardboard cut's really easy. I was actually trying to do an engrave with the Acer the other day and actually cut the letters out. I didn't mean to because I had the power turned up just a little too much. Yeah, yeah. Can't say the same thing, and I agree 100% with that because Yetis, they're a different breed, and it varies from color to color. Like blue is going to be a different power than black, and yellow is going to be a different color, of different power. So, the cheaper ones are a lot more forgiving. Like my cheap ones, I got 3 speeds on my 10 watt. I got uh, 70 millimeters per second, 60 millimeters per second, and 50 millimeters per second if it's blue or white. I mean, that's pretty much it. Uh-oh. You want to answer this one or you want me to, Steve?
Which one's that? The circle one?
Yeah. You want to do a demo?
Uh, well, this is going to depend on is it a solid circle or is it things around a circle?
Either way. It's the
Well,
same process.
yeah. I mean, if it's a solid circle, then you're really just looking at like offset fill or something. But if it's a number of objects around the circle, you want to break them up and group them, and then do engrave by group, and hopefully it's a vector and not a raster, so you can eliminate more of the white space. Yeah, you've got. Oh,
Hang
you
on.
had it.
Is it up there?
Yep.
Okay. Now, waiver for all the Karens out there. Uh, there's more ways to do this. But just to give everybody an idea, this is kind of my go-to. Let me find something that'll work. Okay, so like this reef right here. This is actually my stove cover reef that I made. I drew this on my tablet. Uh, if you engrave this, like, which machine have I got? I got the D1 selected. So I'm going to preview this and I'm going to show you. All right. That's an hour, 45 minutes, and 52 seconds. Okay. Now, to me, the simple, easy way to do this is basically you can select it, get you a little square over here. This is kind of a cheat. Get you a little square, and you can cut. Select. And then I'm going to select that, select this, and then use the booleans to cut it. Now, the only step that I didn't do is to show you how to do the other half. So let me back this up. All right, take that, got that square. I'm going to duplicate this. This is an easy way as far as the way that I usually do it, just to get them done so I can be done with it. All right, I've got a file built that does this for me, but let me go and move this in here. I'm going to stack those lines, make sure they're stacked. Like zoom in, make sure they're exactly on top of each other. All right, now I'm going to select this and I'm going to duplicate it. All right, so now I got 2 of them. Then I'm going to go back, I'm just going to select one of them. I'm going to select this line. Then I'm going to do my chop. All right, then I'm going to take this one, select that one, select this line, do my chop. And now I actually have, let me change the color of that one. I actually have 2 different layers which I can turn off and turn on. And I just eliminated a whole bunch of white space. So we went from an hour and 45 minutes to now 22 minutes and 58 seconds. So that is the easy way, in my opinion, to do splits. So there you go. How was that? Did that work? Did my audio quit?
Nope, you're good. Did your headphones quit?
I'm not hearing anything, Steve.
Did my audio quit?
All right, I'm not hearing nothing. You should refer people to the previous.
Let me make
Great.
sure.
All right, I'm not hearing anything. Give me just a second. I don't know what's going on here. Something's gotten muted.
I think it's your headphones or something, because yeah, everybody
Let
can
me
hear
check
both of
my
us, and I can hear you.
audio.
You're just trying to block me out as usual.
No.
But
Okay, I think I see the problem here. Give me a second. Okay, can you hear me now?
yeah, there we go. I can hear you. I
Woo!
can always hear you.
Did my screen share work? My audio? Because I
Yeah, no,
apparently I
you
didn't
were
hear
you were
anything.
good throughout that. Just
Okay.
must cut out me some for some reason. Like I said,
Uh,
you were technologically using selective hearing.
no, it cut my headset off apparently. But does that make sense? Was that not easy enough way of cutting your file, saving yourself an hour and 20 minutes? I mean, that's what I do. Now, there's probably 50 other ways you can do it, guys. I'm just showing you that's the way that I do it. When I've got a design that's going to take me 3 hours to burn, uh, did that just to reduce the engraving time by not covering movement over the white space. Yes, what you do, Jack, is when I cut that graphic in half, see if we could do a split screen where I can still show. When I cut the graphic in half, Jack, if you notice, I'm going to get it centered. This layer here, like that's one layer. So if you look at the traverse lines right here, you don't have that white space. It's not going back and forth across the white space. I cut every bit of the white space out of the design. It's going to start up here, and it's going to just work its way down through here and do the same on the other side. Let me just change this. Let me put this back in. Right, let me import graphic from the chart. Yeah. Okay. So now I've got that in my library. So once again, there's that one. 22 minutes. All right. Delete that one. We'll bring it back in over here. About the same size. Hour and 29 minutes.
Your audio is getting kind of choppy now.
But that's an hour and 29 minutes right there. You can see all the traverse moves are going across the white space here. So that's what you want to get rid of. But anyway. Let me turn that off.
Yeah, I think your computer wasn't so happy doing all that.
Well, I apparently launched my editing software too accidentally. I didn't realize it. That probably didn't help.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you see
wasn't
the
happy
whole.
there.
Yeah. Well, the good news is one of my forensic machines that I have at work, Steve, that has a total of 14 cooling fans on it, has been retired. As soon as I get it clean and sterile, I'm bringing it home and it's going into my work office in there to use to do video editing with. Well, part of the problem, guys, is I'm out at my shop off of a repeated wireless network on Wi-Fi. But I do have a gig of internet, so I don't know if that's it or what.
So on that one, if you had used just flood fill instead of cutting it up, what would the time have been on that?
You can look, but let me see. It's not going to be that good. Okay, I'm going to take that original one and put it on flood fill, preview, 1704 on that. But yeah, flood fill helps, but now you do get those weird little lines in it sometimes.
Yeah.
Somebody tried to get me to do offset one time. And offset sometimes will help, sometimes it won't. But now if you put text in if you put text in the middle of that, it
Yeah,
depends on the it depends on the design.
well,
But somebody
Lightbird's
the
really
question,
messing up your audio on that. You might want to close that out.
but yes, the question was just how to cut the design. I actually what you would think with this gaming PC I wouldn't have that problem. I guess about 5,000 on a laptop instead of 1,500.
I don't know.
But
Should be able to handle a few things, but it's definitely mucking with your audio.
hold on, let me make sure when I brought it out here it didn't switch to battery saving mode. No, not in battery saving mode. I'll get me another one day. But or either I'll get another computer and just get my when I got a studio and we can do things in a studio to where I've got me a machine doing the streaming and then one to work on and I can output to it. That'd be nice. But yeah, to cut a design, I just use that function. So, but that was the question she asked on the screen right there. I was just showing that.
Yeah, and if you had multiple objects that aren't linked together, you could use the same theory to put them into groups and then set up, engraved groups together, and then that would have a similar effect as splitting the one object in half to help reduce the cut space, and it'll just work its way around one half and then the other. So definitely worth doing some playing with your various options and manually sometimes going and grouping things together to get your burn times down, especially if you're going to be doing something over and over again. One-offs, it might not be worth it to take all the time to break it all up. You'll spend as much time optimizing your file as you are just burning it. But if it's something you're going to repetitively do, it's definitely worth that time to optimize your files.
Yeah, the bird I put on my stove covers is that reef right there with text in the middle of it, and it's a 12-inch burn, and I've got it down to 20 minutes now. But I do it in different layers. The text is one layer, the half of the reef is one layer, the other half of the reef is the other layer, and it makes it a lot better. Plus, if I have whatever reason I have a failure, it makes it a lot easier for me to just change the scan angle and run that one particular layer that I need again, which I haven't had that happen since I quit using my D1. No, honeycomb check messes up the camera calibration. I don't know, it does for me. I can never get one to calibrate with the honeycomb check on. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, I messed with that on mine, and it didn't help it any. I don't know that it messed it up, but no, actually, I think it was having harder time seeing things with the honeycomb check on, so I left it off. And their instructions tell you to use the default profile for the 8 megapixel camera. It's worth it to actually go through the lens calibration and then is it the lens calibration first and then what's the other one, the alignment procedure, or is it the alignment first and then the lens calibration? Go through both.
Calibration first, then alignment.
Yeah, do the lens calibration. Make sure you print out that dot, and it needs to be on like a 5x7 card. Don't print it out full sheet on a piece of letter, because that won't see it right either. That'll get you a lot more accurate setup on your camera.
Yeah. Yeah, Brad. Like you said, you can try flood fill. You can try offset fill. Sometimes helps. Layering stuff out is a lot of times. Just keep in mind that you want to remove as much of the white space from a design as you can to maximize your speed. And like I said, that helps. You get rid of all that white space. Because even with white space scan turned up really high, one, it just looks like it's rough on a machine going that fast and then slamming on brakes. But to me, it's just a lot smoother when it just sits there and works its way around. But I am excited about my new enclosure, guys. I gotta get a lid on it. I gotta get a top on it though. There's a Concro. Fit by 8 centimeters. The camera is not. I'm going to give y'all a little tip. Basically, that camera that Comgrow sells is very similar to the first one I ever bought that I run on my main enclosure over here. It's almost the same specs. But the camera is not really specific to a machine. You've just got to set it up and calibrate it for the workspace and for the different machine.
Yeah, you might need to raise it up higher than they have for the Comgro on the 8 to get the whole area. Um, but it shouldn't need a whole lot extra height because it flows over the frame of the Comgro pretty well and then cuts it down once you get it set up. But
The
as far as
mount.
the
Oh, he's talking
mount,
about the mount. Yeah.
yeah, they do have an option for mounting it to like a surface, like surface mounting it to whatever the laser's sitting on. I don't know that you're going to be able to get it to mount to the machine itself without drilling into it, which I wouldn't necessarily want to do to the laser. So you could maybe rig up some sort of clamp that you attach to the rail. But yeah, I would just go with the hard mount on wherever your laser is sitting on. You just got to be mindful that it doesn't move in relation to. So if you've got a spoil board that you can mount your laser to and the camera to so it doesn't move, then that might work. But I don't know that without creating some of your own kind of jig to clamp onto that back rail of the 8 natively, it's going to take a little bit of engineering to do it.
Yeah. Brad, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. But the only way to turn off that flame sensor is in Xtool software because Lightburn isn't set up to access that setting on the motherboard. So whatever changes that you put into place with XCS or LaserBox or whatever, those settings will stay until you change them in there. So you should be good. That's what I did with mine. I turned it off because that thing, it shut my machine down at 2 events, and I finally just turned it off. Well, I'll let you know there, Robert. I can promise you I'm going to try. I'm going to be looking for some really high resolution fisheye cameras. So I've got the camera that came out of my other enclosure. I'm going to see if I can make it work, but we'll see. I don't know. Steve, do you know if those attachments would work for the X2?
I was trying to see if I have mine handy. I'd have to look at it again and compare. The 8 is a little bit taller of a rail than the X tool from what I.
Oh, it's a lot taller of a rail.
Yeah, it's got a little more height to it, so I'm not sure if that will fit around there. If I can find mine, I know I've got the parts somewhere. If I can find mine, I'll take a look at it and maybe post it in our Facebook group. But off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
But I had looked at using it with another machine, and it has a little flange where you could mount it to the surface of like your workspace, like you said, Steve. And if I'm not mistaken, I think you can take the arm off and mount it to like the back of an enclosure if you wanted as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see what we got here. Colin, no, I generally don't because I had a trouble with a fisheye camera's calibrating. Now, if I'm using a fisheye camera, if you run the calibration, I don't think it matters what you set it at because I have better luck calibrating the cameras without the fisheye turned on because it gave me trouble, and I've got 2 enclosures that have fisheye cameras. There you go, Steve.
Yes, it's on my list. As a matter of fact, I picked up some extra parts, such as a standard switch, to be able to do that. So it's I've had people ask about both how I do it in the enclosure and just kind of generally using them after doing the little backlit art display. So yeah, I'm hoping to get one of those done in the near future. We'll see how the rest of the stuff goes. Luckily, I do have tomorrow off, so I'm hoping to get some things done then. And who knows if they snow us in the rest of the week because we're having a major storm come through Tuesday into Thursday afternoon, maybe they'll just keep us all at home for a few days, and I'll be able to spend some more time down here. But yeah, it's not too difficult. The big thing is, hopefully you're comfortable with soldering. There are options around that, but being able to solder makes it a lot cheaper.
All right, let me show you something, Steve. Speaking of LED lights, check the roof of that guy out. Yeah, that's 16 foot of LEDs.
Hmm. Now you need to do the RGB addressable ones so you can have it, discoing while you're laser cutting.
Well, I used to get the RGBs, but the white light output of these guys just is way brighter.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. You get the
so I
specific the 5000K ones. They're a lot brighter. So
and these actually have a variable power on them, and I think I might not even have them all the way up. No, I do have them all the way up. But I bought 2 sets of those. I put one in one of my fabric enclosures, and then I had the other one over there. Can you etch a gun with a diode laser, Jason? It depends.
not
You want to break out some science on this one, Steve?
well. You can mark a gun or you can remove a coating with a diode, but it's not going to meet ATF requirements for putting a tag on them for certain exemptions. You really need an IR or a fiber style laser to actually engrave into one. But some of them that have kind of that coating on the outside, you can definitely remove that, and it will have varying levels of success with how much contrast it has. But yeah, if you're looking to actually engrave it for like the stamp you need on a certain, like if you're using the suppressor or SBR type things, then you need a different tool than a diode laser to do that.
Yep.
And you also have to be careful if it's yours, you're fine. If it's not yours, you can get into bad rules with modifying a firearm without being a licensed dealer slash whatnot. So if it's your own
But is it
stuff,
modifying it? But is it
well, that's the
modifying it if you're
argument.
not moving the material? It's more like
That's
painting it now.
that's the
More
argument.
like painting it. Yeah, but I think that's talking about like with the fibers. Technically, you are removing material using a method, uh, because basically what it equates to with the diode is all you're doing is either applying a coating or removing the coating. You can't remove any material with a diode. So I don't know. Yes, you can, and you can engrave P mags. You can engrave Glock mags as well. I have done both. They are
I,
ABS, but it will etch them.
yeah, I was going to say I'd just caution on that, especially if they're generic unknowns, what material they're made from. You could be dealing with some stuff that either smells really bad and is slightly unhealthy for you, or something that is caustic to both you and your machine. Um, so just
Well,
know
I
what you're
always
doing.
recommend. Yeah, I always recommend people not to like vape the fumes. That's not healthy.
Well, the thing is,
Anything that comes off your laser, you really don't want to breathe it, regardless.
right, but some of them will have a bigger effect on you more rapidly. And just because you can vent it outside, A, doesn't mean that your machine's not being affected by it, and B, you're still venting it outside. There are people and things out there as well, and whether it dissipates or not, or whether your neighbors find out you're doing that and complain to your city and all that,
Yeah,
I just caution people, you know what you're putting through your laser, that you're not putting out some hazardous fumes and
yeah.
such. So
Some of them can create chemicals that aren't healthy for your laser to be breathing. So,
that's why vinyl's
certain,
a big no-no. Anything with chlorine in it.
yeah. But, anyways, I understand what computer restarted in the morning.
There was this one as well. How do you attach your shield to your enclosures?
Are they talking about Lexan or
I would imagine
I'm
we're
guessing
talking
they're.
about like the acrylic shield, the JTech stuff, or whatever people choose.
Uh, Typically with screws. The way that I plan to do this one here is I'm going to cut a window, and once I cut the window, I will take a router bit and put a, depending on the thickness of the material, basically the hole that I cut will be smaller than the piece of acrylic. And then I'll take a router bit and put a shoulder around that hole that will allow the material to recess into that hole and be flush with the outside. And take a really sharp, really small drill bit, and you can drill acrylic, but go slow and make sure it's a really sharp bit, because if it binds it too much, it will split. What is your recommendation, Steve?
Yeah, no, I did the same thing on mine. Of course, I cut my top panel out on the CNC, so I just have a perfect fit, perfect depth. It sits flush with the top, so I've got a rabbet basically around the whole opening so that it sets into, and then, like you say, I very fine point, very sharp, slow moving, or slow pushing anyway, drill bit. To make some holes in there, and honestly, drill them bigger than your screws. It doesn't need to bite into the acrylic. That's another way you're going to crack it. So make sure you go with the drill bit larger than your screws, and let the screws bite into the material and basically clamp it in place. And that's all I do. I don't put any extra sealant or anything on there. I just make sure it fits nicely in there, and then screw it on.
That's it.
Matter of fact, I use some very small screws. Thanks to my RC hobby, I think they're like number 2 size.
Yeah, and like Steve said, you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure against the acrylic, because it will crack. So just when you put those screws in, you might not want to use an impact wrench. You might want to use a screwdriver.
Yeah, they're little number 2 by 3/8 button head screws, so they're not big at all.
Yeah. Well, ordinary woodworker, he must not have been in here. I'm going to have to show you. All right, ordinary. There you go, guy. You slacking. He said he's got his built, but he's waiting on the door. That's where I am at. I got two pieces of the door cut already, but I don't have it put together yet. I got to buy another piano hinge. I bought a 48-inch piano hinge to go under the bottom of that one door, and they like those things.
Yes, there are similar ones to the RA2. Ortour has a new one out that is very similar to it. It's a chuck style, except for you don't have to take it apart to flip it around. Might be getting one of those in the shop in the near future. And I believe Aetzer also has a similar style coming out, where it's basically a stepper motor attached on a swivel head to the clamp chuck as well. So there's at least those 2 options. I know the Ortour one right now, I think list price is like $229, but there's a lot of places selling them with a coupon down at like $179. And last I checked, I think the RA2 is still $250. So some savings there, and should have a similar functionality, if not better. Yeah, like Brian said, the Aetzer does have it out, but it only comes with their combo kit for the P35 right now. So hopefully that'll come out as an add-on. I know the Ortour one, from what I understand, comes with some cables for other models. I know the RA2 comes with a couple of adapter cables. So as long as you can adapt it to your Y-axis stepper, you should be able to use it on most of the typical diodes. They're all using that same functionality. What you probably need to do, though, is calibrate it to your steps per rotation kind of thing, and that you tell it hopefully the manufacturer has that information for you. Otherwise, there's some calibration things, so you can kind of dial in your steps per rotation on that one.
Yeah, they're different on a lot of different. Oh no, most every rotary is going to have a little bit different steps. are the rotaries or diodes interchangeable? And the question to that is, it depends. If you have the right cables, yes, they can be. But you got to have some of the cables. You have to have transfer cables and crossover cables. And
Yeah, most of them are interchangeable. The ones you get some compatibility issues would be more of the larger ones that are made for CO2s that may not have a stepper motor that's compatible with the driver boards. But most of the smaller ones using the small NEMA 17 steppers are going to be compatible as long as you can get the cable calibrated to, or the cable connectors right, and then work that calibration to get the steps per rotation right. So most of them are fairly interchangeable depending on their wiring options.
yeah, I've got the X Tool and the Diwali, and I think that's all I want. Oh, the Comgrow. And they all got different. The settings are different. Steps and stuff are different. Oh, here you go. Science question, Steve. Let your geek hang out, buddy.
Um, Again, it's going to depend a little bit on the color. If you're using black, it should be able to cut through, now depending, probably at least up to about 1/4 inch. Shouldn't have a problem with that. But if you get into the lighter colors that the visible light has trouble interacting with, then yeah, you're going to get less of an effect on it, and you'll get more of a melting than a cutting. The other thing is it's really helpful to have air assist on when cutting acrylic. Uh, Helps keep that material moving, keep it clean, but also helps cool it off as well. So, maybe a little more information on what type, and also, are you sure it's typical acrylic? Because if you're using something like a polycarbonate, that stuff cuts horribly. Sometimes even extruded versus cast will have different effects as well. But yeah, if it's like a lighter color, a yellow or a white, it's probably going to struggle even if it's opaque. That is one of the big reasons to step up to like a CO2 is if you're doing a lot of acrylic, it's going to take a lot of the headache out of it for you. But doesn't mean you can't do some acrylics with diodes.
I've got a couple of videos on cutting acrylic with diodes. It goes over what colors are problematic and what colors are best. Black is always your friend when it comes to acrylic. So, appreciate you, Robert Foster. No, it goes back to the science. Wait a minute. Did you hear? You see that guy said it was going to be 80 degrees?
Yeah, 80 degrees in North Carolina. I've got some friends down there. I'll have to yell at them about it, but.
Jason, regardless of how much power the machine outputs in the 450 nanometers wavelength, it is not going to cut clear or. Now the semi-transparent, there are some semi-transparent colors that you actually can melt. I wouldn't call it cutting because it doesn't look pretty, but that's a science thing. The color of the beam does not interact with any material that allows visible light to pass through it. So that's the whole problem.
Yeah, basically.
Steve, my wife just informed me it's supposed to be in the 80s here this week too. So enjoy your snow.
Well, we don't have hurricanes or gators up here, so I'm fine. That's what I tell my friends in Florida. The wild animals that can kill us up here are at least furry. Bears and wolves and things like that.
There you go. It's all about absorption. That's what Mark says. But yeah, if the material does not stop the light from going through it, it's not going to cut it. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. Now, that's why, but with a CO2 uses a different frequency, different light for the cutting, and it will cut transparent materials. And that's the only reason I've got the CO2 over here. I mean, that's just for acrylic, and that's it. I don't do nothing else with it. I can cut wood better with it now that I've got my adjustable bed in it, but it's still not going to beat my diodes.
Jack clarified he's using dark green from Amazon that's advertised for the X-Tool D1. If you
Green. Aha! See, you're not the only science guy. Dark green. Let me check with my color. Dark green. So yes, apparently you can cut green, dark green, right here. Light green, yeah, it cuts somewhat. Not great, but it cuts. So I'm guessing this dark green is the color he was talking about right here, right?
I would think it's closer to that, yeah.
Well, meanwhile, at the back cave. All right.
I mean, there might be, but again, they're furry. So,
Quit picking on those bears up there, Steve.
no, he's talking about Bigfoots.
Oh.
But that's more of a Pacific Northwest kind of thing, I think. You know, Oregon and Washington. It's too cold for them here.
I'm gonna need my spectacles.
Oh, we're gonna get a live demonstration.
Yeah. Look at that. Raise that puppy right up there. I wish that foot was on the other side of the machine now.
Yeah.
It's not. So let me put it right there. And from my memory, make sure it's going to frame. Yeah, that's enough. That's good enough. All right, so I'm going to run this at 7 millimeters a second. One pass using the 8-ser, and let's see what happens here. Let me turn my air assist on. Here we go.
Yeah, we actually had, you could hear the coyotes in our neighborhood, or just outside our neighborhood, the past couple days. And we have, so we live we live in a river valley here, so a lot of animals kind of funnel up through those.
Woo!
And
Woo! It's been stubborn.
we've had cougar in the area as well. So
All right, so I'm gonna slow this down. 7 was a little hot. So I'm gonna go with 4 millimeters a second. I'm gonna run it 2 passes. That way I can get this over with. But
actually, I think
green.
Sorry.
What? Go ahead.
Well, while Brian's doing that, so I wonder if dogs are attacked by wolves or alligators. I think they did a report on the most dangerous animal in Minnesota is actually the domesticated dogs. There's more people that are attacked by them than any other wild animal here. So this is 4 millimeters a second at 2 passes?
It's set 2 passes. It seems like it's running a lot more than 2 passes here, guys. Let me see if they got it all done. Yeah, that cut it. All right. So yeah, it cut it. Didn't do a real pretty job of it because I didn't frame it well. I don't have a camera yet. Let me run another pass. All right, there we go. But yeah, that is at 4 millimeters a second, 2 passes, and I've got the air assist about halfway up. But that's 100% on the 8-ser. So, yes, and this is the little box of green acrylic, or it's a multicolored box, but this is the green out of the box. So, that really looks like more than 2 passes. Oh, it's because it's ending over here. I got to get used to the orientation of it. But yeah, uh, got a little bit of bubbling on the back side if you can see that. Probably need to go a little faster. But yeah, you can cut green, but it was a little resilient there in the beginning. So there
So
we
that's a
go.
20 watts of power.
24, sir.
Yeah, sure.
So everything's blue now. But yeah, these now I will tell you the like blue is really tough. Like certain colors, like that is actually about the color of the diode, and it's really hard to cut. So I bought this pack, and I've got a couple of videos out there. Just go and search for acrylic, and I've done a lot of testing using the X-Tool D1 20 watt. I think I did some with a 10 watt, and I've got some videos that I've done with the Monport as well. So, but yeah, it stinks. I'll tell you that. I'm be glad when I get my top for my enclosure. Jason and Clanton here, the beekeeper at the feed store. Hey, oh, hey, Jason. Yeah, welcome, Jason. One of my neighbors, guys. This guy works at the Chilton Feed and Seed, and they have bee supplies, feed, clothing. They don't have this, but they have clothing, boots. Y'all don't have feed stores up there where y'all are at, do you, Steve?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know if y'all had those.
A huge farming community around here. That's all southern Minnesota is. Lakes, rivers, and farmland.
Oh. I want to come up there one day.
You got plenty of farmer friends, and it's always good to be friends with farmers.
Rotate your machine 180 degrees, then it's on the other side. No, Brian, I don't want to do that because I like it where it's at, because if you notice the button, if you can see the button, I got it toward the front so I don't have to reach across it. And I do have my return to location set to the actual back left corner now. And I did that. I went in and set that up, and I've got a park location under my locations. But I did that so that it would get the laser head would get back out of the way and get on that other corner after I do a burn. So that was on purpose. But that was 3mm acrylic there, Jack. Ballards are watching. There's some more of my neighbors. Man, I got all my neighbors showing up. My friend Jennifer Ballard, she does real estate and buys a lot of wood products from the Clack Shack.
Nice.
I wonder where dogs are attacked by wolves and alligators. And y'all don't want all like Animal Kingdom on me in here.
Hey, you were busy doing your demo. We had to keep the conversation going.
I hear you. Brian Smith, what state are you in? I'm trying to catch up. I lost. Thanks for the demo. Yeah, Jack, this is what I try to tell people when you get lasers, don't ever buy just enough material to make whatever it is you want to make. Buy extra, because the only way to make sure you're doing it is to play and test. And I mean, you're going to mess some stuff up. If you're not messing material up and wasting materials from time to time, then you're not really trying to get, tune your settings in. So that's why, and I try to do a lot of that work for you guys and make these videos where you have like a jump off point to where you can get started. And I know Steve does the same thing with different materials and stuff, but you still need to do your own testing, because, your machine is going to act differently than ours. So don't go in the winter, Clack. But I don't know what it's like, guys, to see more than, say, 2 or 3 inches of snow. I want to go up there when there's like 6 feet of snow on the ground. That's what I want to see.
I hope I don't see 6 feet of snow on the ground one time too often. That's usually not that bad, but we're not Buffalo, New York. They get that lake effect snow.
Oh, I want to see a lot of snow. Right, let's think about the power button. Yeah, the power button and that emergency shut off, I put it up there on the right. And another thing is I wanted all of my cables to come in on that end of the machine because I've got 1 inch and a quarter hole and one 3/4 inch hole is where all the cables come into the machine right now. And I wanted everything to come up that way. So I kind of laid it out that way. I can move it, but I don't think I'm going to. I kind of like the way it works out. Yes, Beaver Creek, I do. I don't think Steve does. Steve doesn't like it.
The closest thing I use to that is this 1/4 inch cheap sanded plywood that you get at Home Depot. So and I have a love-hate relationship with this stuff. It works well a lot of times, and then it'll mess up that other time, and I start hating on it again.
Yeah. But I use primarily the Luan. I did buy some of the different plywood like from Home Depot. Some of this I have over here is the 1/4 inch stuff from Home Depot. And it works pretty well because everybody kept asking me about Home Depot's plywood. So this is what I wound up getting from Home Depot. And it cuts well. I mean, it doesn't have the voice that some of the Luan that I use does. I will give it that. It's a little more sturdy. It's a little more rigid. So, but it still cuts pretty well. Yeah, Mark. I get. Let's see, Mark. Is that Mark from Pelham? I get mine at Russell Do It Center, which if you're not far enough away from one, you could actually go to one and get it. But that stuff's reasonably cheap, and but this is a little sturdier. This doesn't bend as easy, but it's also a little harder to cut. So, but it cuts pretty well.
I gotta see if I can share something real quick without mucking this up.
It's gonna mess something up just like mine. My hair is looking all awesome tonight.
All right. This, can you see that, or am I still like partial?
It could be bigger, but then my eyes
bigger?
aren't
Oh,
big.
here,
My eyes aren't real good either. Okay, there you go.
So right here.
All right.
Now, if you look at the color chart, that's this. What is this? 18 to 20 inches.
It looked like it said 20 where you were pointing.
Yeah. Now,
Dave.
whether you believe the weathermen or not, but
Dave, I'm not sure what the actual name of it is. Let me see if it's got a barcode or anything on it. It came in a 2x4. It came in like a 2x4 sheet. It was 2 foot by 4 foot, and I cut it up in little squares. I don't see a barcode or anything. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. That's what it says, guys, right here. Scan the barcode. Grab your phone, scan the barcode. But it's 1/4 inch, 2x2 BC handy panel. And they sell it over in their little Hobbywood rack. That's where I found that at. They have a rack. It's basically like Hobbywood. And I picked up a piece of this because everybody was always asking me about it. So I grabbed it too. Hang on. Okay. I grabbed it to try it out and see how it worked. But it works. It's just a little more stubborn than the other stuff that I get. Yeah, if you could get a 12 by 48 for $1.80 a sheet, yeah, that's not bad at all. Good program to convert pictures. There's several programs, Michael, but it just depends on your, yeah. That's for I put on my hoodie a while ago, guys. I've been out here crawling in the ground, putting this piano hinge on this machine and everything. So the one thing y'all learned about me, I ain't trying to be pretty. All right, I'm out here working. If I was all pretty, I wouldn't be doing work. If you see pretty people, they usually ain't doing a lot of work. Sorry, Steve.
Hey,
Uh, but yeah, but that's the type of material it is. I got lucky and it did have a sticker on it. Have y'all experienced with the tabletop CO2s on tech? That's more you, Steve. That's all you.
uh, no, I mean, I think you're talking about the kind of the Glowforge style that are somewhat self-contained, or they're advertised as self-contained. Um, I don't. I've looked at a Glowforge at a local makerspace, and I know a guy I helped with his CO2 that moved into it and really likes it. Um, my impression of them is if you want something that's technically easier to use, they're great. But you're paying for that kind of what I call the Apple like equipment. It technically does the same as your cheaper standalone one. It's just things are bundled to make it a little bit easier. Um, I know that like on the Glowforge and some of the others, I think their air extraction that's built in, people tend to get tired of it and they rip it out and they put a normal exhaust on a lot of them. I mean, that's I've heard that on the Glowforge a lot. I don't know about the new OhmTech or the Gwiki, however you say that. Um, but that I know that's been one issue. Um, but I'd love to have a chance to play with one of them. But when I looked at them, I just couldn't justify paying that much for something that small when I could get a better CO2, a larger CO2, knowing that I'd have to do some of my own, work with it. But I think they're great for people who want something that's a little more packaged together that um, is not as difficult to set up and run. They've got the cameras in them that are ready to go. Um, they're more controlled. There's fewer variables to it, which is kind of how Apple keeps their stuff. They control everything from manufacturing it to the operating system. So they have far better control of it. So you get fewer issues with it, but you have less flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice that the new ones, the OhmTech and the Guike, lets you use Lightburn versus the being tied to the Glowforge software. Um, so that's a nice thing to see out of them. And also, Xtool's talking about their next laser as a CO2. I would gather it's going to be along those lines. So we'll see what they come out with. So there's definitely a market for it. People want them, but I think what you're paying for is a bit of convenience and kind of all-in-one packaging. So
Yeah.
it's not going to do anything that a regular CO2 can't. It's just going to try to make it easier for you.
Yeah. Steve, y'all were making fun of my hair a while ago because I had to put my hoodie on, but it was getting really cold in here. So I was just going to, let you know it was getting kind of frosty in here. So I had to put my hoodie back on because I don't have a heater running right now. But bought a bunch of 5mm underlayment. That is basically what the Luan is. The 5-ply is better. I would agree with that. It's just going to cut. It's not going to cut as good either. But anyway, was anybody got any other stuff? We might need to be wrapping it up here, Steve. We're keeping everybody up past their bedtime.
Yeah. Well, Brian said earlier, tourism in Minnesota just dropped for this week. Unless you're a snowmobiler, of course. They're loving this. So.
Well.
Yeah, small world. I grew up in North Mankato. Still live in Mankato. So, yep.
Yeah, Jennifer. I could tell she wasn't from around here. She lives near me. They have now, but you can tell she spent some time somewhere else. Maynard's, yeah, I've never seen them. Well, I can't say I've never seen a Maynard's. I probably saw one when I went out of state somewhere, but we don't have one around here.
It's a Midwest thing. They're based out of Wisconsin, and you'd be dangerous in one. They're kind of budget hardware, big box supplier. Competes with Home Depot, Lowe's up here in the Midwest, along with Fleet Farm being one of they're kind of a jack of all trades: feed store, farm store, lumber store, clothing, auto repair, stuff like that. We got some regional ones that are good, but yeah, I get a lot of stuff at Menards.
Cool. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I've got a little small Russell Do-It Center here near me. But to go to like a Home Depot or anything like that, I've got at least a 25-minute ride to get there. Now, last week I made 2 trips by there because I had to pick up a bunch of stuff for those stove covers I was turning out. But luckily, like I said, I had that conference. It was in Montgomery, so I was driving to Montgomery every day, and then I just swung by there on my way home in the afternoons. So, worked out pretty well.
Well, we up until recently we had Home Depot, Lowe's, we've got Menards, we got Fleet Farm, but Lowe's split town because they were just in the wrong spot. So the closest one of those is about 45 minutes away from me. But yeah, Menards and Home Depot, they're just across town, which is 15 minutes for me. And yeah, especially if I'm doing plumbing, because I hate doing plumbing. It's usually any project is a 3-4 trips to Menards or Home Depot. Luckily, they're right across the street from each other. So, and you can get frozen pizza there.
You get pizza at the hardware store?
You can get pizza at the
What
hardware
the
store.
heck?
I get pistachios
Oh my
there a lot
gosh.
too.
If I ever come to visit with you, we're going to have to make a trip. I got to see
Oh
that.
yeah, what? So yeah, Brian had it right. Menards is, as far as tools and supplies go, Menards is between Harbor Freight and Home Depot. They've got the cheap off-brand all the way up to they stock Bosch and others for stuff. But yeah, they've got a grocery section. They got the paint section. They got
All right.
They don't have clothing though. Oh well, no, they do have clothing. Never mind, they got that too. Oh,
All
you could
right.
live
If
there.
you tell me do they sell alcoholic beverages?
No, Minnesota's weird.
Okay. I was just
Other
fixing to say if they sell some Miller Lite in there, that's a redneck come out there and started that store.
Yeah, so here you cannot. The only thing you got to sell them in liquor stores, other than what's called 3-2 beer, and then you can have that in grocery stores. But I don't even know you get that in. I don't even think you get it in gas stations. So yeah,
That's
they
different.
don't. If they did, and maybe in Wisconsin, they love their beer there, and I think they're a little more
I was
lax.
just
They might have
yeah,
it there, but
I was just thinking if they did, man, that'd be like a one-stop shop for most single guys. I mean, you get some pizza and some hardware and lumber. I mean, that'd be like a one-stop shop, especially if they carried like Carhartt clothing or something. That'd make it easy.
I don't know if they do that. But Fleet Farm's right across the road, and they've got Carhartt.
Yeah.
You want an all one stop. Fleet Farm is more of that. I mean, they got groceries, pizza, auto repair,
Yeah,
Carhartt.
Jackass, isn't everything frozen up there, or is it just a pizza?
Well, this time of year, you don't have to turn your fridge on. You can just leave it outside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. Like I said, it's supposed to be in the 80s. What my wife was saying here next week. It was probably. I mean, it wasn't far from that today. The honeybees were out. I got stung yesterday. I put my hoodie on. I'd left it laying on my back porch, and apparently one of them was in my hoodie when I put it on, and stung me right there on the sternum. And just so you know, getting stung by a bee on a big plate of bone like that hurts. It swelled my whole chest up last night. Thought I was gonna have a heart attack
Yeah, I would imagine.
from a bee. Because the head, the ears, and the nose are probably the worst places to get hit. But anywhere there's a lot of bone where the muscle can't absorb the sting, it hurts. Come to Carolina. But I've been through Carolina. I've been through South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. I've been pretty much the East Coast. I've been all up Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, New York, New Jersey. I've been up that way. I've just never ventured out towards where Steve's at. And I told Steve one of these days I'm gonna have to come up there and shovel some snow or something. and I want to get him down here. What I want to see, guys, is I want to see Steve mid-July running the sawmill because he keeps saying that it's hot. It's just as hot in Minnesota as it is down here. So I want to put him. I want to put it to the test. I want to see him running the sawmill mid-July and just see how that goes. Because I think it's going to be a little different for Steve.
Yeah, well, we'll compare. We'll compare and get into June and July. We'll compare. You might be surprised. I might
3 o'clock in the morning. Ooh. Go ahead. I was just some guys. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. See, they agree with me. They agree with me. Beat him with Stumpton, Big Steve. Easy.
It's humid up here. I mean, people don't believe it, but it'll be. I got heat stroke one year up here running one of my airplane events because we were in the upper 90s. The humidity was in the upper 90s. Sunny. It was horrible. We landed 10,000 lakes and rivers, and that's just the bigger ones. I mean, we got water everywhere, so anytime it gets hot, that water is going to go into the air.
Yeah.
All that rain from the Gulf, any storm that comes up the Gulf, it ends up here too. So.
Yeah. Robert, my sawmill it doesn't have a computer. It ain't got a starter. It's got a crank. It's got a ripcord. All right. It's all manual. You got to load the log. You got to roll the log. You got to push the mill. It ain't one of the ones that's just got a bunch of levers. So they do not believe land of 10,000. Actually, it's like 12,000. I think I missed something.
Yeah, it's the number of lakes we have, so that's our moniker. Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes. But that's just of a certain size. There's a bunch out there.
But yeah, it would be fun. You said you are going to be possibly coming through this way, but it's not going to be anywhere near the summer, though, right?
No, why would I come down there in the summer? Yeah, no,
See, 'cause that's when it's fun.
I'm seriously looking at being in the Georgia area, southwestern Georgia area, coming up in the end of April for an event. And so, yeah, we'll have to see. I gotta make sure things line up as far as work, and that I want to figure out what other side trips that might be. And so, Clack's shop is basically along the way. If I take one route or the other, so definitely could have a meet up there, at least the two of us, and
Oh yeah.
and go from there. But yeah, I'm looking at doing that at least then, and but yeah, June, July, August get busy for me with both hobbies. I do still love the airplane stuff, and that's when it's nice up here and all the events are going on and whatnot. But
Yeah, it'd be cool. Like I said, if we do see that it's going to work out, though, we'll try to bring you guys along, because I'm gonna try to get him to at least hang out for a little while so we can do some cool stuff down here. Steve's going to stage a class. Yeah, he's but when he comes down this way, though, need a conference or expo, you guys could host one. Now I will say this: if you're anywhere nearby, and I haven't got the dates and everything isn't confirmed completely. But in September, they're having our little local chapter or local group of folks that have channels and do YouTube, which most of them are the farming type channels and stuff like that. There's not very many that do, kind of what I do. But I've been invited to attend their their regional Alabama, or the Chilton County, Alabama YouTubers Conference or whatever that they're doing. It's basically just going to be like just a meet and greet type event, and it's going to be held in a town that's probably about 15 minutes from my house. So I do plan on doing that if nothing comes up. But yeah, y'all be hard pressed to stay here, guys. I don't got that kind of room. You can come hang out in September at that event maybe, but you have a hard time finding a place to sleep over here. The shack's not heated or cooled, which I'm working on that cooled part. But anyway, heck, we almost made it 2 hours, Steve. So I guess it's time to go. Starting to get a little cool out here.
Well, it's the reason I don't do it out in the shop most days in the winter.
Yeah, my wife, the biggest complaint my wife has is when people come over to the shop, there's not a bathroom out here. So my next shop has to have a bathroom. But anyway, yeah, look at that. Look at that, guys. One more time. For those of you that didn't get to see it, let me move my tripod back. There it is in all its glory. All that area below it is going to be shelves and storage. I just haven't got around to doing that yet. And then that's the under part. It's inside there. I got to get the latches and everything. That way I can put material on it, raise it up and down. But I am very proud of how it turned out so far. I'm tickled to death, man. I worked my butt off today on that thing. But anyways, thanks for coming, guys. Is there a bush nearby? Brian, I don't know if you've watched my videos. If you see my intro, that drone fly away, that's my house. There's plenty of bushes. We don't. We just, there's a tree right behind the shack here. But anyway, thanks for coming, guys. And it's awesome. Great to see everybody here. If you hadn't already, like my channel, like Steve's. And if you're not a member of our Facebook group, which has been kind of slow lately, but me and Steve both been busy. But that's more for you guys to post your projects, post questions. If you have something that you want to share with other guys, or if you see answers to a question that's been asked that we haven't answered, you can go into that group, post, talk, socialize, whatnot. We will be sharing any videos that we do or events that we have coming up or anything like that. It's a good place that if you're looking for a product, you can message us or tag us in a post and all that good stuff. So if you hadn't been to that Facebook page, and I think Steve just put it in there, make sure you go check that out. But over to you, Steve.
Yeah, it was great seeing everyone again, and looking forward to getting some things out this week, and we'll see you all back here for more chat about everything, weather, animals, and laser creations next Sunday.
Yeah, y'all were talking about Bigfoot. All right, guys. Y'all be safe. Have a good night.